My name is Heather, and this is your Word for Wednesday. It's been about a year now that we have been worshiping separately. Sometimes we did have in-person worship, but I remember a year ago, right about now, was our last few worship services together. In fact, I think the last one that I was able to attend was Ash Wednesday. Ash Wednesday has always been an important day for me, and truth be told, I'm really mourning not being able to meet in person for it this year. A year ago, when we first started meeting online, I was very resistant. I did not like the experience. I missed seeing your faces. I missed the opportunity to sing with you all, especially. I became an organist because I really do love hymns. As the year has gone by, though, I have found different ways, actually, to connect in new ways to spirituality. And so today, I'm actually going to be talking a bit about spirituality and spiritual practices. I have in front of me some books that I can recommend to you if you decide that you would like to do some of this work as well, and invite you along for this journey. In looking at our new realities, both realities that we were facing before the pandemic of declining church membership and just the 21st century problems that you've probably heard a lot about. And now with the coronavirus, the separation and the Zoom church and the YouTube church and all of that, I really have been looking at ancient practices and ways that early Christians nurtured and loved on one another. Some things that have been feeding me recently has been starting a practice of centering prayer. You can read about it in Cynthia Bourgeault's book, Centering Prayer and Inner Awakening. I am very unqualified to teach you about it, as I am only just beginning my practice. But it's a way of listening and also of emptying yourself so that God, in turn, can come and fill you. So I really recommend that. That was a practice that originated very early on. Bourgeault goes into some instances where we can perhaps interpret Jesus' life as instances in his life where he perhaps was practicing a form of centering prayer or meditation or just emptying himself before God. It's also something that we have in our tradition from the Desert Fathers and Mothers. These were the people who, in about the 3rd century, when Christianity became the official Roman religion, rejected the imperialized empire-like religion and went and practiced and looked for ways to be true followers of Christ in the desert. A lot of that was obviously much spiritual and inner searching and living very austere lives centered around reliance on God and worship of God, and not on the power and dominion that the Roman Empire was using Christianity for. Another ancient practice, which is perhaps a little bit more concrete and also one that I've loved for many years, you can read about in this book by Joan Chittister. This is the liturgical year, and it's part of the Ancient Practices series. The first one, if you want more of a cursory introduction to all of the practices, is by Brian D. McLaren, who's a Christian author and activist and very prolific, and his book is called Finding Our Way Again, and it's about all of the different ancient practices. I personally own this copy, and I found it really beautiful. It's more devotional in nature than informational, which I think these days feels about right for me. Another book that I have, that we have in our library here at the church, which is where I'm speaking to you from today, is A Testament of Devotion by Thomas R. Kelly. He was a Quaker missionary and educator, and it's much more about contemplative life, and it's got meditations and such. I haven't read it yet, but there are 2 copies here in the library, so you are welcome to check them out. They're right over there. Another book that I read a few months ago that I really like and will actually be leading a little book study on is this one, You Are What You Love by James K.A. Smith. He is a Christian philosopher and writer, and he writes like a philosopher, but it's a very good book. And although it's a little bit amusing to me that his main thesis which is that we are not thinking things, but rather liturgical beings and creatures of habit, is presented in such an intellectual way, we will actually be approaching this book in a experiential, spiritual practices sort of way. So I invite you to join me for that. It will be virtually done, and we don't have a date yet. Sorry. In this time, when we are facing Lent again, perhaps all alone, perhaps together, I don't know, I hope that you will open your heart to where God is calling you to deepen your lives. I can't tell you what that is. Only you know, and only God knows. It has been for me a source of solace in all of this, and I know for many of you. I look forward to when we can meet again. I really do. I'm thankful for the advances that are being made, and I'm thankful that we are trying to be a caring community and do our best, even in hard times. Before we go, I'd like to offer a little prayer, and then I will end with some silence, and I encourage you to continue the silence for as long as you want, emptying your mind of your worries and your thoughts, just letting them float by as if they're clouds and have nothing to do with you, feeling centered and present in God and with God. Let's pray. Dear God, we meet together virtually. We miss each other. We know that we are connected both spiritually and in you. You have made all of creation. You are in and among all of creation. So we know that even when we feel lonely, there is hope, and you are never more than a breath away. Please lead us in our own individual paths, and may our paths eventually cross.